We say to the countries that participate in the Crusader campaign, I swear to God, a similar day that France went through, you will go through.
Continued threats coming through from Islamic extremists known as ISIS, the terror group claiming responsibility for the Paris attacks, further stirring fear among allied nations. But as support for France pours through,
we want to be very clear that we stand together with them in the fight against terrorism and extremism.
A growing number of states, now 16, including Arizona, refused to participate in a pledge by the president to accept 10,000 Syrian refugees displaced by the war back home. Arizona Governor Doug Ducey released a statement Monday saying, quote, "Given the horrifying events in Paris last week, I'm calling for an immediate halt in the placement of any refugees in Arizona," end quote. Vice President of the Syrian American Council, Sohaib Alaga, says blaming the victims by association is immoral, that the fleeing families seeking a better life should not be condemned for the acts at the hands of the extremist few.
Politicians want to come up with good public statements to alleviate people's fear to a point where it's not justifiable, but it's also understandable. But the mentality of blaming the victim and making people guilt by association, especially victim of extremists themselves who have been forced to come here as refugees.
But Governor Ducey says he wants consultation from federal authorities and that the halt is an effort to keep the homeland safe. This action seeming to require a solid vetting process to ensure no potential threat comes through. All this meanwhile, European allies are dealing with millions of refugees at their borders. But housing refugees seems to be a temporary plan, with Alaga calling for structure within Syria.
The solution in Syria belongs inside Syria. And the best solution is to create safety zone and humanitarian zone where refugee will end up settling inside Syria, and then they don't have to leave and live in camps and have to be forced to swim across the Mediterranean to go to Europe.
They got their own problems, but they need to take care of them where they're at.
In opposition with Arizona, neighboring California, Governor Jerry Brown says he'll work closely with President Obama to ensure any Syrian refugees coming to the state are fully vetted in a sophisticated and utterly reliable way.
I would prefer if there was some way to check and, make sure they're not part of a terror cell. But, as far as, actual refugees, I'm all for it. Whatever we can do to help.
I think it's our responsibility as human beings to help anybody, There's always limitations on everything.
For now, the war between ISIS and the Western world continues. As for a solution to the millions of Syrians forced out of their homes, only time will tell. Reporting in Yuma, I'm Elisa Gamonian.